Hi guys, in this video we'll be discussing a case of rheumatic heart disease from pediatrics. So I'll be going through the history and findings which you need to mention to the examiner to lure him towards the case of rheumatic heart disease. So let's begin. So the patient or the informant is going to tell you a complaint of breathlessness. Definitely this will be there in a case of rheumatic heart disease. Chest pain, palpitations, all of those you can say it is present, but in case of an older child, in case of young children, usually it's going to be difficulty in breathing. So when you talk about difficulty in breathing, it's going to be either due to RS or CVS. Those two are the most common suspects. It can be due to metabolic causes also, but let's not go into detail. So to point towards RS, you have two important findings. First of all, you will have some kind of productive cough. So that is how, based on the sound and the duration of cough, you can say if it's productive or not. So in case of bacterial infections, you're going to have some kind of productive cough, and an even more important thing is there will be use of accessory muscles in case of respiratory breathlessness. But in case of circulatory or CVS breathlessness, there'll be specific history like orthopnea and PND. So orthopnea is when the patient lies down, he finds it very difficult to breathe. PND, he lies down, goes to sleep, but after 2 hours he wakes up breathless. So when we are talking about breathlessness, you need to mention this NIHA classification. It is class, not grading. So grading is by MMRC, not NIHA. And then in this case they have mentioned about the chest pain, which is not usually like you won't have that complaint coming to you usually. So the first part is over, which is the elaboration of the chief complaints. Next you ask about the systemic complaints. So what are the different systemic complaints for circulatory system? Are your palpitations, syncope, swelling over the body. So palpitations, if there is any tachycardia, there might be palpitations in any hypoxic condition or something, late stage diseases, you might have palpitation. Syncope, again, if there's reduced blood flow to the brain, there might be syncope. Now history of swelling over the body, usually there is swelling in the dependent part, which is the leg. So you're going to have some kind of pedal edema suggesting of cardiac failure. So that is an important history which you need to ask. The next history which they've asked is history of involuntary movements and joint pain. These are very specific for rheumatic fever. So rheumatic fever, you're going to have some kind of joint pain followed by joint swelling, and there might be some kind of involuntary movements or chorea if the brain is involved. So these are all history questions you ask for ruling out rheumatic fever. Is it a case of active rheumatic fever, or is there any past rheumatic history? All of those are things. Then cyanotic spells, so bluish discoloration. This usually happens only in cyanotic heart diseases. So congenital cyanotic heart diseases, this history would be positive. And then cough with expectoration, that is not present. So any, like if you have a TB or some kind of respiratory active illness, then you will have this history as positive. And then no history of scanty micturition or reduced urine output is another way you can put this. So again a sign of cardiac failure. And then no history of abdominal distension, no history of pedal edema, no history of right hypochondrial pain, no history of evening rise of temperature, no history of any drug intake. All of these are negative histories. So abdominal distension is for kidney related issues, and then pedal edema is for cardiac failure, and then right hypochondrial pain would also be for any kind of liver pathology, like if there's any cardiac hepatitis, something like that. And then evening rise of temperature is again TB, history of any drug intake. So certain drugs lead to congenital acyanotic heart disease like your ASD. Most common culprits are your anti-epileptics, and then history of, so this will be your history of fever, continuous fever relieved. All of these are negative history for infective endocarditis. And then uh, this history of sore throat is very important in case of rheumatic disease. In a rheumatic heart disease, you need to say if it's an active rheumatic fever or an episode of rheumatic heart disease due to a previous insult. So this case is an example of a previous rheumatic episode now manifesting as a rheumatic heart disease. So all of these are chronic loss of appetite, loss of weight are signs of chronic illness due to recurrent respiratory tract infection. So all of those are some things you need to mention. So the most important things you need to mention are breathlessness, the NIHA grading, and then aggravated and relieved by positional changes like orthopnea, PND is present or not. Is any complication like swelling over the dependent part of the legs present, reduced urine output, abdominal distension, and then right hypochondriac pain. All of these are present or not, you need to mention. Those are your important history of presenting illness. Then your past history, you need to ask if the patient has any previous episodes of the same disease. Like in case of congenital acyanotic heart diseases, you will have recurrent respiratory tract infection. That's an important point which you need to know. So again, with respect to the birth history and the first second trimester history, the most important thing is this one, no history of fever with rash. So the torches infection, so congenital rubella syndrome is very important in case of a heart congenital heart disease, but we are discussing a case of rheumatic heart disease, so there is nothing very important in these two things, so I'm skipping this part. It is important when it comes to congenital heart disease where there might be some kind of drug intake or some kind of infection present. So again, postnatal history and then development history, there might be developmental delay. That depends on the baby on what they're consuming and their nutritional status. So the dietary history, that is specific for the child, so you can't generalize. Immunization again specific for the child, you can't generalize. In this case, you need to check if they're immunized with all the proper vaccines like your pneumococcal vaccine and your flu vaccine and all of those things. Those make the baby more protective against such conditions. Then family history, nothing very important, just any history of sore throat or joint pain in the family spreading to this baby. Socioeconomic and then low socioeconomic group. So that's an important thing which you need to know. And then summary, so you just say the patient came with breathlessness, and then if there's any joint pain or previous sore throat, that would be enough for the summary. Examination, nothing important in the general examination. You need to look out for infective endocarditis markers when it comes to rheumatic heart disease. So what are the infective endocarditis markers? Are your petechiae or rashes, splinter hemorrhages in your nail beds, and then your Janway lesions, Osler's notes, and Roth spots. So you don't mention Roth spots because you see it only under fundus examination. Others you can mention your Osler's notes and Janway lesions. All are present on the hand, splinter hemorrhage, nails, petechiae, rash. So that is there. And then vitals, you need to mention the pulse rate if it's an older child, heart rate if it's a younger child, and then anthropometry you need to mention over here. And with anthropometry you see if it's a case of malnutrition. Head to foot examination, again rash or if there's any swelling, something like that. If it's significant you can mention that, otherwise you don't need to mention it. And then systemic examination, so CVS CVS specific examination. Inspection, you're not going to find anything. So what are you supposed to mention in the inspection are chest wall bilaterally symmetrical or not, moves equally with respiration or not, trachea its position, apical impulse if it's seen, precordial bulge, skyphosis, scoliosis, any scars, sinuses, engorged veins, or any visible pulsations in other regions like your epigastric regions. So those are some important findings which you need to see on inspection. In palpation, you need to confirm if the trachea is in the midline, apical impulse, what type of impulse it is. Is it confined to one space or is it in two spaces, and what nature it is? If there's any parasternal heave, and on auscultation you see for any murmurs. So I will just summarize the CVS examination, what you're supposed to look out for. So first of all, you need to look if it's a left heart failure or right heart failure. So right heart failure, you're going to have some kind of precordial bulge, parasternal heave, cordial bulge, and parasternal heave. All those are going to present in right ventricular hypertrophy. In left ventricular hypertrophy, you will have some kind of hypertrophic hyperdynamic impulse, and then you might be able to hear some kind of murmur. So all these are important things for a rheumatic heart disease. So your rheumatic heart disease is going to usually present like a mitral regurgitation case. So what are the positive findings you're going to find are usually you're going to have some kind of hyperdynamic circulation, hyperdynamic apical impulse present. What this hyperdynamic means is you're going to have apical impulse not limited to one intercostal space, it's going to be present in two intercostal spaces. And then if it's a complicated case and there is something called pulmonary hypertension and all of those things, then you can have right heart failure as well. So all of those you will be focusing more in medicine. In pediatrics, if you are able to give a general idea of which valve is involved, which side of the heart is involved, is there cardiac failure, is there infective endocarditis, it is more than enough. And I would like to wind this case up with this. Please do note that examination findings you pick up from medicine and apply it over here. It's going to be very similar to mitral regurgitation, and I'm pretty sure you know how a mitral regurgitation is presented. So you can check that video out. I'll put a video for examination of CVS later. So thank you guys. Bye.